Hey guys, what's up? I would like to introduce this budget control Shaman deck. And I think control is something that hopefully is more on the expensive side. Like you usually need a lot of legendaries and epic cards, and therefore newer players hopefully end up being unable and just completely incapable of making any control decks. But this is something I try to work around with this deck, as there are no legendaries and no epic cards required and just a few rares for this to work out. So first of all, I would like to explain the overall idea of the deck. Then I want to go through the individual cards, what they're for. And then in the end, I would also like to explain how you can make this deck better, how you can replace cards if you don't have them, and maybe also speak a little bit about the matchup. So first of all, just going through the main idea, control means you really play to stop the more aggressive decks, to run them out of steam, and this is something you can do via spell damage. So we have, for example, the Volcano just as really strong board clear, and the Jade Lightning, and also the Fire Elemental. So this is all damage from hand to just deal with minions. But what we do even more than that is that we try to build up our own early board. As you can see, the curve is like really strong on like 2, 3, and the 4 mana slot, with most cards being in there. And we play a lot of healing along with taunt minions to run aggressive decks out of steam. So we have the Mistress of Mixtures, a 1 mana 2/2 that restores 4 health to each hero. It's just like a 1 mana 2/2 is already really strong, and with the healing mechanic it's something that works really well against aggressive decks. Then we have the Swamp Ooze, for example against the Pirate Warrior, but also against Paladin and Rogue. A really strong card with the battle cry to destroy your opponent's weapons. Also in the more greedy matchups, like if your opponent plays Maeve or so to get additional value, the Ooze is just overall a really good card. Like it's a basic card, so you will definitely have this one. And with the set line is also pretty good. So even in matchups where it doesn't really do much for you, not being able to destroy a weapon, you still have a 2 mana 3/2. Like this is still playable. Then we have the Jade Claws. Like this is pretty much getting value. You get value via Jade cards. So there's the Jade Claws, the Jade Lightning, the Jade Spirit, and the Jade Chieftain. You don't really need Aya. Like this is already good enough. We already get to an 8/8 Jade with this. And this is a rare card. I think one of the only rare cards that you really need. Like if you don't have Jade Claws, this is something you might want to craft, as like the Jade cards are pretty much all required. And it's just like a 2 mana 2/2 weapon. Just serves really well to just have early attacks to deal with early minions and such. And you already summon a Jade as well. So the overload mechanic is something you don't really want to have in this deck, but you can pretty much cope with it. Just like, once again, a 2 mana 2/2 weapon that summons a Jade is just really strong. The Acolyte is just in there to draw overall. Like there's no other card in here that makes you draw. So it's really solely on the Acolyte of Pain, but hopefully this card can make you draw at least 1 card, hopefully even 2 or 3 cards. So overall this is enough for you to draw. Otherwise, Mana Tide Totem is also really strong, maybe even better than the Acolyte of Pain. But yeah, once again, this is just like if you run out of cards, you have the Acolyte to just have more steam, more stuff to deal with. The Hex is the card to just deal with strong threats and strong minions that are in your opponent's deck. The really strong suit of Hex is that it's also a silence at the same time. So Death Rattles don't trigger against Shatoon, for example, it's really strong. So Hex overall, a really good card just to deal with any kind of minion. You also have sometimes in the matchup against Hunter, for example, you have the Starvaging Hyena that becomes really strong really quickly. And so even if in these aggressive matchups you have the Hex to just deal with a Starvaging Hyena or cards like that. Hotspring Guardian. First of all, with the base stat line, a 3 mana 2/4 taunt is already pretty good. And the restore health is also something you want in matchup against more aggressive decks. Also against the Burn Mage, this serves pretty well. Just restoring 3 health is already pretty good. The Stonehill Defender. So overall, a 3 mana 1/4 taunt, not really that strong, but after all, you still have like 4 additional health on the board in this taunt that your opponent has to go through with first. But what you're really playing this card for is the Discover mechanic. The Discover just gives you once again additional value, because you can also outvalue more mid-range decks and even greedier decks with this. On the one hand, you have the Jades, which summon up to an 8/8 Jade, and then you have Discover mechanics like the Stonehill Defender to give you additional cards. You can get, for example, White Eyes with this, or 5 mana 7/8 Taunt, or for example another Stonehill Defender to increase your value even more. And then the Tar Creeper, I think one of the best and cheapest anti-aggro cards. In the end, it's only just a 3 mana 3/5 Taunt that your opponent has to go through. And that's just really, really strong. As a common, this is also something you can play in a lot of control decks, so overall a really strong card. And yeah, certainly included in this deck. Jade Lightning, first of all, dealing 4 damage with 4 mana from hand is already really strong, and you summon a Jade. So hopefully this is a 3/3 or 4/4 Jade or so already, but even if you only summon a 1/1, this is just overall a really strong card, not even any overload on it. So yeah, just if you have to deal with something from hand, Jade Lightning is just really insanely strong. Next up, Jade Spirit, similar. Like a 4 mana 2/3 is something you really don't want to summon just like that. There's not really enough value just now. But like over the course of the match, you summon maybe like a 6/6 or a 7/7 along with the Jade Spirit. Even if you summon only a 3/3, this is value-wise already a really, really strong card. And once again, the way how you beat more mid-range decks and greedier decks just to get additional value. Ginny Water Speaker restores 6 health. I think really, really strong. Just, for example, also against Burn Mage or so, and decks that really just phase upon hitting your face as quickly as possible. Or against a Pirate Warrior, for example. Restoring 6 health being super strong. And also a 4 mana 3/6 minion is it's already pretty good. And with the mechanic of with restoring 6 health, it becomes even better. And yeah, you have the overload for 1, but that doesn't really hurt you too much. Overall, the cards here are pretty cheap, so you will still be able to play something. So really good fit for this deck. Lotus Agents, just like especially if you're missing cards, if you don't have White Eyes or an Aya or so, the Lotus Agents really helps to get more value. Like sometimes you can discover an Aya with this, for example, or just additional Jade cards. Like if you get any other Jade cards like Druid, Rogue or Shaman, they all play Jades. You can even build up your Jade army up to 9/9s and 10/10s. So overall, Lotus Agents just once again to get even more value, to get rid of the Stonehill Defender and the Jade cards. This is really to outvalue the more greedier decks. Then Volcano. I think one of the strongest board clears. Like this is just, imagine your opponent has like a 7/7, a 5/5 and a 3/3 on the board. This is the only card that can deal with a board like that. Like you usually want to trade in your minions first and then wipe out the board completely. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult when you play this card exactly, as you get overloaded for 2 on the next turn. So you have to look out that you don't find yourself in a similarly bad situation like 2 or 3 turns later. But overall, like usually you run your opponent out of steam, and once they overcommit and put like everything they have remaining on the board, you finish them off with the Volcano pretty much, just running them out of minions completely, and then you can build up your own stuff. Like you can actually outvalue a lot of decks with this. And yeah, Jade Chieftain, overall 7 mana 5/5, not super strong, but just you summon a Jade and you give a taunt. So with this you can summon, for example, a 5/5 or a 6/6 and you additionally give a taunt. And yeah, also one of the cards to just give you additional value. So yeah, this is overall the deck, all the cards explained by themselves. Maybe to speak about replacements, Mistress of Mixtures, really not that super important in this deck. There's a lot that can do. Maybe even additional draw, maybe even a Voodoo Doctor or so. There are a lot of cards to replace the Mistress of Mixtures, but I think as a common it shouldn't be too difficult to craft. An Acidic Swamp Ooze, it depends. Like if you don't really face anyone who plays a weapon, there are also like a lot of replacements for this. I think what's really strong is also if you have like a Dirty Rat or maybe a Doomsayer in your collection of cards. But otherwise, like this Acidic Swamp Ooze, since it's a basic card, you should have it. Jade Claws, I think one of the cards you can't really replace. Like even though it's so rare, I think this is one of the cards you really want to play. Besides that, maybe the Rockbiter weapon. Like if you just want to try the deck, but you don't have Jade Claws, you can try with the Rockbiter weapon. But like it's also like you also summon better Jades. Like without this, you can only get up to a 6/6 Jades with all the cards. So this is one of the important ones. Acolyte of Pain. I think almost anything that draws cards can be a good replacement for the Acolyte of Pain. There's also like the Mana Tide Totem, which is insanely strong in this deck. And a really, really good replacement, but besides that, almost anything that draws you can be played. I mean, even Felnos, I don't really think that makes too much sense, but that's something. The Loot Hoarder could be taken in there. I think Acolyte is really strong overall, but yeah, really, almost anything that draws you cards could be a replacement. But otherwise, you don't have any draws, so you pretty much want at least one card that draws you, but like even the Nose Engineer or so can do the job to just draw a card. Hex, another basic card. I think you really want to have this. Like there are so many decks, like even the greedier decks, to just take care of something quickly, whatever it is. Also, once again, really strong against Deathrattle, so against the White Eyes or Aya and stuff like that. Against the Tyrann, it's really, really strong, and I think you should keep it in. Hot Spring Guardian. Like it's common, so I think it's not really that difficult to get. Overall, it's a really nice card. 3 mana 2/4 that restores free health. I think you really want the health restore. So if you replace that, you pretty much want something else that heals you. For example, the Earthen Ring Farseer can do a decent job. Maybe the Cult Apothecary. Otherwise, maybe also just a Taunt Minion to replace that one with like a Sentient Shield Master or something that you should definitely have. Maybe even a Stegadon. Like usually you have enough value, so just having the 6 health to protect you is already pretty good. Stonehill Defender. Once again, this is a card to give you additional value. It's like, for example, if you already have White Eyes or an Aya or so in your collection, you can definitely replace this. This is mainly designed to really win the greedier matchups, where you want to discover really strong cards additionally, or discover another Stonehill Defender to basically give you infinite value. But yeah, once again, otherwise, if you don't have this card, don't have any better card, like once again, Sentient Shield Master, Stegadon, they're already doing a decent job. Tar Creeper, it's just a common, so I think you should have it. I think it's actually worth crafting. Like for 40 dust, this is such a strong anti-aggro card. Like overall, this fits in so many decks. I think it's just overall really good. But yeah, same replacements. Either value cards like White Eyes, Aya, if you have something like that, or a Sentient Shield Master, a Stegadon, an Earthen Ring Farseer, so additional heal. Jade Lightning. I don't think that you really want to play a Lightning Bolt or so to replace that. I think that's rather weak, like a Forked Lightning or a Lightning Bolt. I don't think that you want to play that. Once again, it's just one of the Jade cards are overall like pretty difficult to replace. Like you either play with the entire package or you cut it completely. I think going with only like 4 or 5 Jade cards doesn't really cut it. And it's really strong, it's just a common. So yeah, and the same pretty much goes for Jade Spirit. Jade Spirit pretty much just belongs into the Jade package by itself, not really being that insane, but also as a common, you probably have it anyway. Jinyu Water Speaker, like the strong suit of this card is really the healing. So here also, if you want to replace that one, you really want to go with other heal. Let's see if there maybe is something in. Yeah, I think the Tidal Surge. The Tidal Surge is actually really, really strong. It's also just a common. Deal 4 damage to a minion and restore 4 health to your hero. I think that's actually a replacement. That would be just a common. Otherwise, yeah, other strong heal. Maybe a Cult Apothecary, for example. Like the Cult Apothecary can also often end up healing you for a lot. Yeah, if you have it, sure, like Alexstrasza can also do the job if you want to go more greedy. But yeah, otherwise, the Jinzu Water Speaker does a really good job. Lotus Agent, it's overall a card really to give you additional value, to outvalue other decks. But yeah, if you have, for example, an Aya, you either want to play her, or let's say a White Eyes, or maybe just like any really strong cards that there are in Shaman. For example, I like here maybe not that much, but I think From Below is also really strong, or the RF Elemental. Like these are also really good cards that you can replace the Lotus Agents with. Otherwise, a more budget replacement, maybe the Bog Creeper, for example, is, I think, a really strong card, like 7 mana, 6/8, giving you a lot of value, and it's just a common card. And then next up, Volcano. It's one of the AoEs, so one of the board clears, therefore it is mostly required in the deck. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, a Lightning Storm to some degree can also deal with the opponent board. So if you have a Lightning Storm, that can do it. Otherwise, the Maelstrom Portal can actually do it to some degree. Let's see. So yeah, oh, there we have the Maelstrom Portal, just to have like a more budget board clear. And towards the last card, so Fire Elemental, I think 6 mana, 6/5 is overall really strong. It's a basic card, so you should definitely have it. Otherwise, I mean, the same replacements as for the other cards mostly. Maybe if you have really strong value cards, you can also replace the Fire Elemental. But overall, you can also just keep it in the deck. And as the last one, Jade Chieftain, just also included in the Jade package. I think this is one of the, like, if you don't like the Jade package overall too much, this is maybe one of the cards that you can cut while still keeping in the others. Especially if you have Aya. It's overall not that insanely strong, like a 7 mana 5/5 that summons a Jade. And overall, to maybe make the deck a little bit better, like, I've already been speaking a lot about it, like if you have Aya or White Eyes, or the Earth Elemental or so, like really strong cards. I think the Fire Elemental is maybe one of the first cards you can cut. Otherwise, the Lotus Agents and the Hot Spring and the Stone Defender, I mean, like these are also cards, like they're mostly to give you additional value. If you already have it, you don't really need these cards. Hot Spring Guardian, also not that super insane to have. Otherwise, also Tidal Surge, maybe a decent replacement for that. Otherwise, a card that also does pretty well in there is the Spirit Echo. Like if you have the Spirit Echo, this also is like for additional value a really strong card to replace, for example, the Fire Elemental, maybe Lotus Agents, maybe the Stone Defender. The Spirit Echo is really good, like hopefully you have a decent board. And then something where I think that you don't want to include it. So once again, cards that you don't really want to have in here, even though they might appear really strong, like Lava Burst, or overall, like mostly all the cards with Overload are not really good in this deck. Like Feral Spirit, Lava Burst, the Flame Raven Faceless, they're not really doing too well. Like it just constrains you on the next turn. You don't really want to outrush your opponent or so with this deck. So yeah, I don't really suggest playing Overload cards in this. And another card might be the Auctioneer. Like in a lot of decks with Jades it's included, but in this deck you can already see like there are very few spells. So there's almost no Auctioneer value. So this is another card that you don't really want to include. But yeah, that would be mostly it. Otherwise, I also have another video to display how to play with this deck, especially on ladder. And yeah, so I hope this helps you out, and thanks for watching.